Hi, my name is Michael Kanter. I'm the founder of ELIOT'S Nut Butters. We are based and founded in the Eliot neighborhood of Portland, Oregon, and we produce our nut butters just down the road from here in Portland. My background, I spent a good 5 years working my way up as a line cook in kitchens, aspiring to open my own restaurant, and realized along the way that really my passion will always be for food, but ultimately restaurant wasn't the right place for me, and that really I needed to start my own business. And in the process of iterating some different software app ideas, literally sitting eating a bag of spicy cashews, it kind of dawned on me that I loved these cashews by the handful, but why not turn them into nut butters? Went downstairs, threw them in the food processor, turned it into nut butter, tasted it, and lo and behold, it tasted just as good as a more savory, spicy, spreadable nut butter than by the handful. And so from there, it was just kind of off to the races to see was there interest in kind of more savory, flavored, perhaps a bit spicy, but ultimately not sweet nut butters. And that was back in July 2013. By November, we had 3 initial flavors, did a holiday show in December, and by February of the following year, we were in 6 stores of a local chain, kind of off to the races as we set out to grow a fun flavored company, but ultimately focused on simple, minimal ingredients, no added oils, no preservatives, things that us kind of adults are craving is variety, fun flavors, but not adding a bunch of sugar or a bunch of other junk into our jars. So as Illuminate as a solo founder, setting off from a degree in political science and a background cooking in restaurants, obviously the grocery industry is a whole other ball of wax, or as some would say. So yes, I think I probably, you name it, we've dealt with the setbacks, whether it's supply chain, whether it's lost pallets, whether it's just as a small bootstrapped undercapitalized company trying to find the right partners to grow and help us get to the next level, and finding the right stores. It's definitely been a crash course in running a business. ELIOT'S, we maintain a small team of 4. We're fortunate to be a company doing 6 figures of sales and growing. We are looking forward to a lot of continued growth and success as both the categories mature and as we really sort of hit our stride as a company. Our whole vision, my whole vision is, when I started, was that I wanted to make a product that I felt ultimately was going to be part of making things better. I didn't want to be making a product that I'd have to kind of close my eyes about some of the ingredients, or pretend that we weren't doing XYZ production process. And that's sort of, for me, doing nut butters and doing flavors is we're doing a plant-based product that is naturally shelf stable. So I can always be proud of the great products we make, knowing that we partner with a lot of local vendors. We produce it in glass jars. We try to be as zero waste as possible. We never use palm oil in any of our flavors ever. And I think, for us, that's both a core value from the beginning, and I think more and more resonates with consumers as they want great tasting products that they feel are doing good in the world. And eating nut butters is certainly a great source of plant-based protein that also everyone can feel good about the impact it has on the earth, on their bodies. And so having fun tasting flavors that they don't have to wonder what ingredient is, what does natural flavors mean. We just simple, minimal, approachable flavors and ingredients that get us excited, but also get our fans excited as well. When I started, certainly, having a background as an aspiring chef certainly helped me to have familiarity with flavors and using products. But again, in restaurants, you're not generally creating shelf-stable products. And so it certainly was a process to both hone in on what flavors we liked, and then how to, replicate that. Ultimately, I was fortunate to work places that really focused on recipes and scaling and, measuring things out. And so that, I think, certainly gave me an advantage in the production process, that even if took me to batch 15 to nail something, it was sort of drummed into my head of, needing to measure everything out and weigh everything out, which, made it easier then to figure out what was changing batch to batch and how to adapt and get the flavors right. But yeah, it was definitely, a process. Again, part of what attracted me was the fact that it was shelf stable and didn't, need me to figure out different issues with acidulation, acidity, water content, different things that are challenges in different parts of the shelf-stable industry. So it certainly made the process move a little faster, perhaps, but it definitely, I wanted to nail our flavors, because I think at the end of the day, while I'm proud of our brand, people need to try it and just love the flavors. So if we weren't going to nail it from the jump, that was the focus, was making sure that every flavor that we make is nailing what it's supposed to deliver. So the vision ultimately was to elevate nut butters. It's not about saying nut butters are no good, nut butters are great. The goal here at Elliot's is just, we want to be part of elevating the category. And certainly there's other people in the space who either are doing that or started doing that, but very few are playing, or at least when we started, we're certainly playing in the flavored space, that we're also doing minimal ingredient, minimal sweeteners. The majority, often still at this point, of flavored companies are doing very sweet flavors, which we just see more and more consumers wanting to avoid overly sweet or added sugar to their flavors. While also, we've also resisted using different kind of artificial flavors or artificial sugars or synthetic sugars. Partially, I just don't think they achieve the flavors we're looking for. But ultimately, that was sort of where our space is. We want to do flavors that, using great ingredients that are going to transcend, whatever is the sweetener of the day. We want to make solid flavors which will be lasting. And, we've been fortunate over the years to fit into various different diets that have come and gone, because ultimately, if you're focused on healthy eating in moderation, our nut butters fit into just about any healthy eating diet. And so that sort of, again, people get so excited that they can fit into whatever diet they want and have a ton of extra flavor, because often maybe whether they're bodybuilders who eat a lot of peanut butter but are like, I need more flavor, but I don't want to put a bunch of sugar in there, or whatever different diet restrictions, or just part of a healthy eating diet, having fun, accessible flavors really gets people excited that they don't have to overthink it and just be able to engage with our flavors. So in many ways, our target demographic is, millennials to their moms. We're also, dabbling in, as Gen Z starts growing in, just coming of age of being more grocery shoppers. And, because the fun part there is, we ultimately are looking kind of more for your foodie type, but ultimately somebody who's a little adventurous as an eater, that, our flavors, we want to push things a little bit, but ultimately be flavors that people can land on, and ultimately give them convenience, because some of our flavors are just meant to just open a jar and eat it by the spoonful, which is ultimately one of the most common ways nut butters are eaten anyways. And so we just provide the convenience. You don't have to stir up a bunch of ingredients to have a fun spoonful, or, it's fun to make a spoonful and add a bunch of stuff, but sometimes you're hungry and just need that spoon of nut butter to cure whatever craving. And so it does that while also, we've found a lot of success as a shortcut for people in terms of different recipes. We have recipes on our jars. And so again, as more people are at home cooking or making smoothies, different things, our products really add to everyone's experience, again, by just cracking a jar open and not having to gather a bunch of different ingredients and figure out how to balance them. We just really provide a convenience and simple spreadable jar form. So that was certainly part of our launch was, as I mentioned, I came up with the idea in 2013 and figured I needed to get in front of a bunch of people, both to get feedback on the flavors and also just to figure out if anybody would be even interested in the products. And so we did a holiday show in Seattle and Portland. And, for me, one of the moments that I realized we were onto something certainly was the fact that we were making sales, but I would watch people taste our nut butters and have almost like a visceral reaction. Like I'd watch people's eyes light up. I'd watch, them turn to their friend or sometimes a stranger and be like, "Have you tried this? This is incredible." Which was rewarding. Certainly we got various feedback on their different flavors over the years, but we've always found it's important to get out and trial things and get feedback. Because no matter how much market research you do, you still gotta get out and see what people think about it. And so most of our product launches, we still kind of follow a similar formula to make sure that the interest is there and also to figure out if we need to tweak anything as it goes. But, it was, I think, exciting and rewarding for us to do that. We've certainly all been at a grocery store, someone's passing out samples. Most people don't want to give the real honest feedback, especially if they don't like it. And I'm sure we've had people not like our flavors over the years, but it just really just seeing people's faces light up and truly engaged, that was, an exciting and continues to be part of the, what makes me proud and pushes us to keep going forward. It might be overly obvious at this point to say it, and I've certainly hinted at it, but I think clearly this movement to focus on plant-based foods, as someone who both dabbles in the space, lives in the space and agrees with it and supports it, even I sometimes have been surprised at some of the rapid changes or adoption of different plant-based foods and, non-plant-based categories, certainly. But I think the transformation just seems pretty remarkable, while still being so early in any number of categories, both, even in nut butters, but also it's a more mature category, but other mature categories, I think the focus on plant-based and elevating plant-based things and, having high quality sources of protein that are plant-based, that seems like one of the both keys for the future, but also what consumers are wanting as younger generations and older generations too, wanting to eat healthier for longevity, see that as a great thing, and the ability to make great flavors and make it taste good and not just be because it's good for you or because it's better for the earth. Makes it easier for consumers who aspire to that to make it easier to adopt more of that lifestyle or just that part of their diet. So it's exciting to see it. It's fun to kind of be part of it and hope to see that continue to grow. One of our focuses that has certainly come into focus over the last few years is we've always had U.S. grown peanuts. We had a almond butter flavor in the past that was using California almonds. When we launched an Oregon hazelnut chocolate spread, our commitment was to Oregon hazelnuts, and ultimately, part of our ethos in terms of earlier talking about good quality products and ingredients, is we're all 100% in on, U.S. grown nuts. That's where our focus is. So being in Oregon, it's more fun to just be able to go down the road to California to be able to get almonds as well as pistachios, and it just ultimately aligns with our vision of trying to support our local economies, whether it's in the U.S. Or down to our literal coffee roaster that we get ours from in Portland, and in that way it just kind of aligns with what we're trying to do. It's harder both to keep track of ingredients and supply chains when they're outside of the country, and ultimately just feels better support American workers, American growers, American farmers, and certainly, unintentionally in the challenges of the time we're living in, having more local supply chains often gives us an advantage in terms of, success, ability to work with our partners and have a better handle on where things are and where things are going to be. We are primarily based in the Pacific Northwest, so we're in Whole Foods, QFC, we're in some Safeway stores, we're in Market of Choice out here, we're in the Whole Foods region out here, but we're also in about 30 plus states and growing in a variety of smaller chains, smaller specialty shops. We're also available on Amazon and our website. And we're definitely, moving from the earlier parts of COVID, where I think we were looking more exclusively at growth through e-commerce and more local partners, to now we're excited to continue growing in e-commerce as we've seen a huge shift in grocery there, but also to keep expanding, because at the end of the day, people still love to go to a store and buy their groceries. And so, we're looking to continue our growth in the Pacific Northwest, but also grow more in California and other parts of the country as the opportunities seem right. We're still small. We want to stay true to our roots, to our values, making sure as we grow that we're partnering with places that align with our values and make sure that we can continue to create the products to our high standards and fit their ethos and our ethos. So that way, where we grow, everyone benefits. Our focus as we grow in the next 5 or 10 years is, to become as much as possible, as more of a household name, to be more known, both through, sales online, but also through growth in grocery. It is still, about balancing our flavor portfolio. We kind of want to start tilting the scales to be a little more balanced in terms of, right now we have about 6 flavors, probably want to move to 8. More balance would mean more almond flavors, if not another nut. And I think continuing to strengthen our ties with our local community and partners as we grow, so that way we know that as we're growing, we're a part of a rising tide lifting all boats, paying our team well, providing great benefits, and trying to be an example of making a great product with great ingredients that we can stand behind with a team and fans who just love what we're doing and how we're growing. And, we're small and we'll always ultimately need help to reach some of those goals, but, we're excited for what's ahead and just believing in the product and the category as being a space full of opportunity for growth and full of people who, once they try us, are very excited, and consumer retention is great for us. And so it's just really about being a small brand needing to get out there upon more pavements, have more people know about us, so that way people can enjoy the fruits of our labor.